I work for the SUSE manager team, and my project this year was to create Salt images, Docker images using Salt. This project was inspired because last week Red Hat did a lot of noise on the press saying that they could create Docker images just using Ansible. And they did a lot of press releases like it was a very big thing. So I got curious and looked at the code, and I realized that it was something very trivial, and also that they were doing a lot of hacks. Like it was a technology preview for enterprises, but they were just gathering Salt from GitHub inside of the build. So I thought, okay, I think with the technology we have, we can do it much better. And also the fact that Salt is distributed, it makes it even easier because they can reuse a lot of stuff. So the first thing is, why do you want to do this? I mean, Docker already has some technology to build images. The point is, if you already bought into the hype of configuration management and you already have templates for your configuration files, and you already have a server that has all documentation for your infrastructure and state files and data, then if you now want to deploy an application instead of a container, you of course might want to have a tailored image for that workload that will be very similar to what you have described in your Salt tree. But Docker forces you to write images using this weird format, which is very weird because it's a mix of a makefile. You have to enter plain commands. If you want to add files, you have to keep them in the same directory as the Docker file. It doesn't have any way of adding data. So your life is miserable again. So why not just creating images from this Salt tree that you already have? So that if you execute the command, build me an image from the module web server or from the module something, it will just go to a minion, grab the base image. In this case, I'm using lib as the default one. You can, of course, change it. And then apply all the state inside of the container. And then you will get an image. Yeah, you can reuse everything, not only the templates and the configuration files, but Salt, for example, has a very nice thing called pillar, which means you can, from the server, distribute sensitive data to the minions. And some minions will see it, some not. That is what is used, for example, to apply user passwords inside of the configuration files. So with this, it means you can also inject those credentials inside of the containers when you are deploying the stuff. It was not so easy as I thought. So there was a lot of challenge on the way. But at the end, all the problem can be reduced to executing Salt inside of the container. And then you have a lot of extra problems associated with that. Like, how do you move the state files inside of the container so that the Salt can see them? Because the container doesn't have, at least in my design, doesn't have any connection to this master server. So the only connection is that this build happens on a minion, and the minion has a connection to the master, but the container itself doesn't. Then the other problem is, if you have pillar data, the minion can see it. So if you make it visible to the minion, you can use it inside of the build. But the pillar data could be templated using grains, which is properties of the system. And that means that we will use the grains of the minion when we want to use the grains that happens inside of the container. So there are a lot of things to be done there, like pre-compiling, grabbing the grains from the container, pre-compiling the pillar, passing it inside, and so on. And then the most important challenge is the lib image, or the base lib image, doesn't include Salt. So how do you put Salt inside of the container? Red Hat did the Git clone from GitHub inside of the container, and then they have Ansible there. I use here something that Salt SSH already has, which is called Salt Thin, which is a function that allows you to pack the complete Salt implementation of the host and create a tarball and put it inside of the container. The nice thing is that this tarball is the Salt installation of the host, so it comes from the SUSE packages with all our patches. And yeah, and that's more or less how all the problems were solved. So yeah, it works. I will show a small demo here. How do I show the other screen?